my loyal and intuitive Cancer friend. Hello and welcome. My name is Mina, and I'm here to offer you a 3-card reading exploring the themes of you, your path, and your potential. I invite you to consider what the reading reveals about possible challenges, opportunities, and personal growth for the week ahead. Take a deep breath, rest your mind, and let's see what the cards have to share with you today. Cancer, there's a quiet tension in the air this week, almost like holding your breath before something shifts. You may notice yourself moving through each day with a sense of self-protection, bracing for the next wave even before it arrives. It's not always obvious on the surface, but underneath there's a gentle ache, sometimes fatigue, sometimes a spark of irritation or a dull, persistent worry that you're holding more than you should. You might find yourself longing for a pause, even as the world keeps nudging you forward. There's an urge to stay guarded, to keep your heart behind a careful wall, especially if you've recently felt misunderstood or overlooked. And yet, beneath that armor, there's a hope that things can soften. You may catch yourself thinking about what you need to feel safe, or what it would take to start trusting the flow of things again. This week, it's as if you're standing on the threshold between endurance and renewal, not quite sure which way to lean. That subtle, unspoken tension of wanting rest, of craving reassurance, of daring to hope, is the undercurrent shaping your days. You know that feeling of being both so close to the finish line and yet still carrying the weight of every step. The 9 of Wands speaks to that precise place, where endurance meets weariness and your spirit is both battle-tested and quietly raw. You have come far, Cancer, not just in the visible ways, but in the quiet, personal battles that no one else quite sees. There's a resilience in you that's built from experience, from the times you kept going even when you wanted to retreat. Maybe lately you've sensed old wounds resurfacing, or found yourself bracing against familiar stressors that leave your shoulders tight and your patience worn thin. You keep showing up, even when you feel frayed. There's a protectiveness in your posture, a need to keep some distance from whatever feels unpredictable or unfinished. Part of you is scanning for signs that something will go wrong, while another part aches for evidence that you can finally let your guard down. This isn't just about exhaustion. There's a deeper layer, a feeling that you're being asked to summon strength you weren't sure you still had. Sometimes, it's as if you're guarding a flicker of hope you don't want the world to extinguish. You might find yourself double-checking your boundaries, questioning who deserves your trust, or quietly rehearsing what you'll say if you have to defend yourself again. And yet, beneath all that vigilance, there's a quiet longing for ease. You don't want to be hardened by what you've been through. You want to remember what it feels like to soften, to let warmth in, to be met with understanding. This week, your inner landscape is marked by a kind of quiet vigilance. It's not that you expect the worst, but you're not quite ready to believe in the best either. You are, in many ways, holding yourself together at the seam between past hurts and future possibilities, waiting to see which will call your name more loudly. It's from this state of gentle protection and lingering fatigue that your path unfolds. The tension you're holding, between endurance and hope, naturally shapes what comes next. When you're caught between wanting to rest and needing to keep going, life responds in subtle ways. You might find that new opportunities arrive not with fanfare but with quiet invitations. Or perhaps you sense the world asking you to engage, to invest in something real, right when you feel least prepared. The energy you carry, the careful way you move through your days, becomes the filter through which you experience the week ahead. You may notice yourself hesitating before embracing something new, or weighing each choice with a little more caution than usual. This is not just a reaction to the past, but a way your spirit is trying to navigate the present, balancing the need for safety with the desire for growth. The path ahead is shaped by the very tension you feel now, each step echoing with both the vulnerability and the quiet determination you carry. As you move through the week, life brings you into the orbit of the Page of Pentacles. There's a gentle friction here, a sense that something small but real is asking for your attention, even as you're still holding onto old weariness. This card is about beginnings, but not the kind that sweep you off your feet. It's the start of something practical, tangible, and quietly promising. You may notice new tasks at work, a fresh responsibility at home, or a subtle shift in a relationship that asks you to show up differently. There's a momentum building, like the first few steps on new soil. Yet it's not without its pressures. You might feel the weight of expectation, your own or someone else's, pushing you to engage, to learn, to demonstrate that you're invested. Part of you wants to proceed slowly, to test the ground before you commit, while another part senses that this is not a rehearsal. There's a friction between caution and curiosity, between wanting proof that it's safe and knowing that sometimes you can only discover safety by taking the first step. This week you may feel the world nudging you towards something that requires patience, attention, and a willingness to start again, even if you're carrying the memory of past disappointments. The external pressures aren't overwhelming, but they are persistent. They ask for your focus, your care, your willingness to plant a seed and tend it, even if you're not sure what will grow. The challenge is to move beyond the fatigue and let yourself respond to what's real, what's right in front of you, rather than retreating into old patterns of self-protection. Each small choice, each act of engagement, becomes a way to honor both your need for security and your quiet hope for renewal. The momentum isn't loud or dramatic, but it's steady, inviting you to rediscover what it means to invest in the present. Potential is not something that simply arrives. It's created in the space where your awareness meets the present moment. What's possible for you this week depends on how you show up to the invitations and pressures of your path. The tension between weariness and hope, between wanting to shield yourself and daring to begin again, is not something to be resolved all at once. Instead, each conscious choice, no matter how small, shapes the horizon of what could be. If you meet the week's gentle invitations with presence rather than withdrawal, a new way of moving through your days begins to take shape. You may find that the path ahead is less about pushing through and more about letting yourself be moved by genuine connection and care. The potential here is subtle but profound. It lives in the quiet moments when you trust yourself enough to try, even if uncertainty remains. By engaging with what's real rather than retreating into old defenses, you give yourself permission to experience something different, not by force but by gentle willingness. The future remains open, shaped by the quality of your attention and the softness with which you hold your own experience. When the moment is met with that kind of conscious presence, the Knight of Cups comes forward, not as a promise but as an invitation. There's a shift that becomes possible, a movement from guarded endurance into open-hearted engagement. This isn't about grand gestures or sweeping transformations. It's about allowing yourself to move through life with more tenderness, more curiosity, more willingness to let your emotions guide you toward what matters. Growth here is subtle and deeply personal. You may notice yourself reaching out, expressing something you've held back, or simply letting yourself feel more deeply, without the old fear that vulnerability will cost you too much. The invitation is to remember that your sensitivity is not a weakness, but a resource. As you let yourself respond to the world with more openness, you may discover a different kind of strength, one that comes from trusting your feelings, honoring your desires, and moving forward not in spite of your sensitivity, but because of it. This is not a guarantee of resolution or reward, only an opening, a softening, a chance to experience your own life with more fullness and grace. You are invited to let your guard down, just enough to let beauty and connection find their way in. The path doesn't demand perfection, only sincerity. In the space where your heart meets the world, something new is possible, if only for a moment, and maybe that's enough. All three energies, the battle-worn resilience of the Nine of Wands, the steady curiosity of the Page of Pentacles, and the open-hearted invitation of the Knight of Cups, are woven together in your week like threads in fabric. You are not just enduring, Cancer, you are quietly evolving. The fatigue and protectiveness you carry are not signs of weakness, but reminders of all you've navigated. And yet, life is offering you a gentle nudge, a chance to invest in something real, no matter how small, and to let your emotions be part of the journey, not just obstacles to be managed. The pressures of daily life may feel insistent, but they are also invitations, beckoning you to show up with the full range of who you are. It's okay to move slowly to test the ground before you leap, but it's also okay to let yourself feel, to risk a little more softness, to trust that not every moment requires armor. By honoring both your need for safety and your longing for renewal, you begin to inhabit your days differently. You don't have to choose between protection and openness. Sometimes the real strength is in holding both. This week may not bring all the answers, but it does invite you to live the questions, to find meaning in the small acts of care and presence that shape each day. No matter how uncertain things feel, you are already moving towards something more whole, more honest, more real. The journey is yours, shaped by every tender, conscious step. Actionable insights for Aquarius this week. When the air is thick with tension and hope, you might gently try finding 5 quiet minutes to notice what you're actually feeling, not what you wish you felt or what you think you should. You could let yourself linger a little longer in any moment that feels real, even if it's just the warmth of your hands or the sound of your own breath. If you sense the urge to retreat, it might be enough to acknowledge it, without judging, without rushing, spoken word affirmations to repeat aloud for a more positive mindset. I hold the memory of my own strength. I welcome gentle beginnings, even when I feel tired. I allow myself to feel what is real, no matter how small. This week I am safe to move forward at my own pace. And now, dear friend, I thank you for giving me your time. I truly hope I have given you something helpful in return. Goodbye and good luck until next time.